everybody, welcome to the Evening Reader. My name is Priscilla. Okay, so today, I don't know if you all are up with the news that the writer Elizabeth Gilbert decided to stop publication on her latest novel, which I think was supposed to come out in August of 2023, called The Snow Forest, a historical novel set in Siberia that spans a time from the 1930s to the 1980s. And it's about, or it was about, well, it still is, I guess it still exists. It's about a Russian family, a Siberian family of fundamentalists who retreat from society and live in isolation, complete isolation, until they are discovered by some journalists, I believe, in 1980. And then the book talks about the implications of them having removed themselves from society, and I think like language, and then there's all kinds of interesting cultural discussion there. And Gilbert apparently received a great outcry from Ukrainian readers, and I suppose maybe readers who have, or who are maybe not in Ukraine but have relatives or friends there, asking her to pull publication of the book because it's set in Russia. And she has conceded to that request. And she announced it. I saw the announcement on Instagram, but now the press has also come out with several announcements. I'll link to an article below about it. You can also just simply go to Instagram and type in Elizabeth Gilbert, and you can see her own, talking about it in her own words. So I think this is a pretty disconcerting moment for authors and art. And I was on my way to lunch this afternoon with my husband, and I was saying I really wanted to do a video about this. I wanted to talk about it. And but I was kind of afraid because I was like, what if I run a brand new channel and it's kind of a touchy subject, I think. And what if what if everybody just unsubscribes from my channel? Because I said because I was telling him about what happened and that I feel that it's wrong. I feel that it's wrong for her to censor herself. And I really want to go through and talk about why I feel that way or why I think that way. And he said, well, if you don't talk about it on your channel, then you're censoring yourself because you're afraid, you're worried. And, he's right. So, here goes nothing, I guess. This subject, actually, I've been thinking about it for the last year, because last summer I was watching BookTube. I was watching a BookTuber I have been following for years. And I'm not going to say who, and I'm going to keep the details vague, but essentially this BookTuber was saying, was doing a video about what they were reading and saying they had, some books they wanted to share. And then when they got to this particular book, they said, I just want to, before I say what this book is, I want to apologize to the people of Ukraine, because I read this book and I have to admit that I really, really enjoyed this book. And then named a 19th century author. A 19th century Russian author. And I thought that was concerning enough, because what does any 19th century Russian author have to do with, as many, many Southern grandmothers would say, the price of tea in China? What does that have to do with the situation between Russia and Ukraine today? And so I thought that that was disconcerting. And then I read the comments, as one does. And of course, the comments were more disturbing even than that just very, to me, very strange apology. And the comments were like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you for the apology. Or, well, you may like it, but I would just suggest you don't read anymore. Or, well, I've banned all Russian literature. All Russian literature. I banned all of it. And it just I got quite upset. I got quite upset for weeks. I thought about it. Weeks and weeks, probably months actually. And I would go around, having arguments in my head about this is why this is bad. This is bad. This is not a precedent. That's a good precedent to set. Um, and so, I know a lot of you are still reading Russian literature. I know a lot of you have been reading War and Peace this year. I know a lot of you love Anna Karenina. I know some of you have been reading Dostoevsky or want to read Dostoevsky. There are lots of read-alongs. I know that a lot of you, like Chekhov, whether it's the short stories or the plays. And so I know that this is not sweeping yet, but I think though that's it was concerning enough last year just to hear a booktuber feeling whatever pressure from looking at whatever other social media to feel the need to apologize for reading a 19th century Russian author. But now we have an actual best-selling author with a huge social platform who's had, who's well known internationally, pulling her book, her historical fiction book set in Russia in the 20th century, the mid 20th century, from publication because she feels pressure from Ukrainian readers. Now, of course, none of us are really privy to exactly what the discussions were behind the scenes or why she made this decision or what part her publisher had to play in making this decision. We have no idea. Maybe she got death threats. I really don't know. But I'm puzzled and I am very concerned. I mean, on the one hand, it seems like the worst kind of virtue signaling. If I was completely cynical, I would say, well, and she does mention in the press release, I have other things I'm working on, so that's fine. I can pull publication for this book. And so, if I was being completely cynical, what I would say is, well, it was easier to give into this and say, okay, I won't. So everybody will still like me, and my next book will be fine. I won't be the bad guy now so that I could reap the benefits of my next book. And I don't know that that's not true. I don't know that it is true. So I'm only positing theories, and I'm only talking this through, and I'm talking it through with you and in front of you. So that's the most cynical version of this story to me. I questioned immediately why would you do that? Why not simply say, I'm going ahead with publication? Yes, my book is set in Russia, but it's not set in contemporary Russia. It's not a spy thriller. I'm not glamorizing modern Russia. It's about a family who's completely removed themselves from society and they're in Siberia. Um, why not simply say, I will give some or half or all of the money to Ukraine, to the people of Ukraine through a charity or in some other direct way that I can set up. I'll set up a foundation. Why not? I mean, she's got a lot of clout. She's gonna sell a lot of books. Whatever her next book is, it will be a bestseller. It will be a bestseller. Even if the reviews are bad, that is her level of clout. She will have a bestseller. She will make a lot of money. Yes, I'm smacking the desk. And so, yeah, on the one hand, it looks very virtuous in a way, oh, I will forgo all that money. But then I'll make a lot of money because I didn't make anybody angry at me. Because I didn't publish my book that has absolutely nothing to do with the current situation. Now, I read the comments on the Instagram, or I read a lot of the comments on the Instagram post, and okay, yes. There are a lot of Ukrainian people on there saying, ban Russia, ban everything Russian, don't read Russian literature, don't eat Russian food, don't listen to Russian composers, don't go to Russian ballets, don't. And while I want to be sympathetic to that frustration, I want to be very sympathetic to that frustration. In reality, the reality is, as it always is so much more complex than banning an entire country. And I think that we need to be really careful because any country can slip into something dark. And Russia's been in and out of, if I'm calling it darkness, for a while. The thing here too is like, let's say in the last 5 years, and I'm not sure if I have it right, and if I have the date wrong, I'll put it in the, I'll put the correction up. I guess if like 5 years ago, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, everybody's best of list, everybody's favorite books of the year included Amor Tell's, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, A Gentleman in Moscow. It was like so many people's favorite book of the year. And I have heard on Instagram and BookTube and from people I know personally that not only was that their favorite book that year, it's like their favorite book of all time. They've read it and reread it. And why am I bringing that up? Because Russia was in Ukraine at that point in time. Russia went into Ukraine in 2014. And so Russia has always been this country, and Russia was always going to finish what they started. I'm not saying that it's okay. What I'm trying to say is, why now? Why now? That's it doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? So I guess I'm talking about, there's a bit of hypocrisy there that we, if this is the path we wanted to go down, we should have started going down this path a long time ago. In the comments, of course, on Instagram, somebody brought up, well, we read German literature. We don't punish German authors. We read German authors from the 19th century. We listen to German composers just because there were Nazis. We still, we don't blame all of Germany for Nazis. And somebody said, well, they did penance. They've apologized and they did penance. Well, yeah. But, you know, we were still reading Russian literature. And, I don't remember Russia ever apologizing for Stalin. I don't remember, maybe I missed the memo, but I, I don't remember anybody issuing a formal or Russia doing any kind of penance in the world ever for anything that happened in the Cold War or Stalin. He killed, who knows how many people? Who knows? But we still kept reading Russian literature. We still kept going to the Nutcracker every Christmas. Um, and I think that's okay. Russia was still in the Olympics because it's people. It's people. And then, of course, and then in the comments on Instagram, I know I'm talking about the comments. Don't read the comments. I mean, but, somebody says, well, but 80% of Russian people voted for this government and they voted for Putin and they voted and they voted and they voted. And I think we all know that votes don't always go maybe the way the majority thinks. Or maybe what gets reported isn't what's true. I mean, is this where we are? I don't know. I don't want to get too far. I don't want to get out of the book land, though. George Saunders put out his book, A Swim in the Pond in the Rain. A swim in a pond in the rain. In early January 2022, I think it came out, December 2021. There was no outcry. It's that book, all it does is analyze Russian literature, Russian short stories. There was no outcry. I mean, it was just before the invasion, but everybody was on tenterhooks. Everybody was waiting for it to happen. There was already nerves and bad things. Nobody said George Saunders shouldn't publish his book. And it's just very concerning because Elizabeth Gilbert has a lot of clout. And so here's Elizabeth Gilbert saying, I agree. Now is not the time to publish any book about Russia. Doesn't matter what the subject matter is. Doesn't matter when it's set. Doesn't matter. It's just insensitive and you shouldn't do it. I mean, what does that say to authors? I guess, hey, if you're working on a historical novel that involves Russia at all or Russians, I don't know. Are you allowed to write a book about a Russian family that has emigrated to America? Are you allowed to write a book about an American or European family that also still has family in Russia? Where do you draw the line? I mean, she may be censoring herself, but she is a big author. And other authors are going to look down at their manuscripts or think about their ideas, or if they've got deals or books in progress right now. What about the author who is new and it's the debut novel and the publisher says, in this climate, I just don't think now we can do it. I don't think that we can publish your book. Is that okay? I don't think that it's okay. I don't think this is okay. And I hope that I realize now, I did not, at the very front of my video say, of course, I do not think that Russia should be in Ukraine, but they're in there because of oil. And we all know it. We all know why they're there. And, it's terrifying. I have Russian friends. I have Ukrainian friends. I have Georgian friends. It's very scary, but not reading a book set in 20th century Russia it's not gonna stop. That's the other thing. Her decision doesn't stop anything. It doesn't change anything for anybody. It really and truly changes nothing. Except for authors who right now have books in the works that feature any kind of Russian characters. That's the implication. There's the big implication. Because history is long and humans are varied and things are complex. But even if you're writing a book, I guess, even if you're writing a book about a sympathetic Russian character who is against the Soviet government or fighting against it or completely separate from it in some way, I guess you better not. I guess this is the finger wag. And this is very concerning. I find it very disconcerting and concerning in a time when book bans and censorship are everywhere. And it's a slippery slope. When a major author, a best-selling author, feels pressured enough, even though her book really has nothing to do with anything in that conflict, to pull her book from publication, I think that it's not a great sign. So I don't even know that I've covered everything here that I want to say. I don't know even if I've managed to be eloquent about it at all. I have, I want to say you're welcome to therapy. I don't mean it I don't mean that in a confrontational way. I would like to hear what you think in the comments. I would like for everybody to be as civil as possible, both to me and to each other. But I think that it's maybe not good for the state of publishing and for the state of free speech, for the state of, authors everywhere. And yeah, I guess that's all I have to say today. So I hope that you enjoyed this, or not, if not enjoyed it, that it's making you think. And if you choose to leave, well, that's the risk I take, I guess, for speaking my mind on something that I feel concerned about. And if you choose to stick around, thanks. I appreciate it. And I will see you later this week. Have a good week. Take care. Bye.